Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. The Law and Justice Party convention is taking place in Katowice this weekend. The party leader, Jarosław Kaczyński, announced that in order to continue the successful rule of the current government, they need to establish a new program. One that would follow the steps of the current program, yet implementing changes where they need to be made.
This was the second day of the Law and Justice and United Right Convention. Today, the party leaders and prime ministers took to the stage. Jarosław Kaczyński opened his statement with words of thanks for the win in the European Parliament elections. The party chairman also underlined that the new program of the United Right is not simply a continuation of their current policies, but also a plan of changes. We cannot take away anything that was already given to the Polish society. At the same time, we must seek all means of growth, means concerning the organization and structure of our public life, socio-economic too, because these means certainly exist. We must also focus on the development of technology, which is developing very fast right now. We must be able to take advantage of that.
I tych zasobów, które daje nam rozwój techniki.
To były dobre 4 lata dla Polski.
Those past 4 years were good for Poland. It was a time of big social programs, in most part overseen by Minister Szydło and Minister Rafalska. It was a time of an economic growth which was record-breaking on a European scale. It came as a result of the Sustainable Development Strategy, a plan devised by Mateusz Morawiecki. It was a time when Poland became the safest country in Europe, a time in which we laid a solid foundation on the future development of our homeland.
Premiera Morawieckiego.
Na styku z tą Unią Europejską bywa różnie.
As you know, in our dealings with the EU, it is not always easy. Lately, we have been a little at odds when a certain gentleman was to be chosen for the main posts in the Union. A certain gentleman who says he likes us very much, he cares for us and is interested in us for a couple of years. However, we don't want him to be interested in us anymore. We have our own path, a path of improvement of our country. We are explaining to them what this path is about, and we cannot allow for the prime position in the European Union to be filled by someone who is constantly judging, scolding and frankly offending us. We will not agree to that.
At the General Council of the Polish People's Party, which took place yesterday in Warsaw, the Agrarian Party has made its final decision regarding the shape of the opposition in the upcoming parliamentary elections. The party's leader, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, announced that the Polish People's Party proposed 2 election blocks for the opposition: a more balanced central Christian democratic bloc, which it would co-create, and a more left-wing bloc.
The General Council prepared an invitation for the Civic Platform Party for a joint start in the elections, provided that the coalition doesn't include other liberal parties. If this invitation doesn't get accepted, the liberal populists are to run their campaign with the parties closer ideologically, forming the Polish coalition. Jarosław Kalinowski stated that the General Council voted unanimously.
Do wszystkich ugrupowań.
We invite all parties which share our views and program. We especially invite the Civic Platform, which is our long-time partner and, let's face it, the biggest opposition party. We respect them and share some of their views, and we want to work as efficiently as we can. We wouldn't be able to be as efficient with Biedroń Spring Party or the Democratic Left Alliance. The Liberals also decided to negotiate with smaller, central-right political movements. Kosiniak-Kamysz stressed that the Polish People's Party is a formation grounded in culture, tradition, Christian democratic values and social solidarity. I never look for a sign of evil in another person, only for goodness. That's what separates us from Jarosław Kaczyński. We will cooperate with all the good-willed people, and is the definite majority of our compatriots. If someone looks for bad-faith people, he should be on his way. Currently, according to many pre-election opinion polls and research, the Polish People's Party can count on the support of between 3 to 5% of the voters. 3% is the threshold for maintaining the state funding of the party, while 5% is the electoral threshold to enter the parliament.
Brazilian Minister of Justice Sergio Moro's campaign against corruption and organized crime has scored 2 big wins in the city of Rio de Janeiro. The city's former governor has confessed that he used bribes for his city to host the Summer Olympic Games in 2016. The police has also uncovered an organized crime group behind massive extortion in the oil sector, as well as multiple murders.
The former governor, Sergio Cabral, admitted in court that he had discussed the bribes with the socialist then president of Brazil, Luiz da Silva. Sitting with me and having a whiskey, former President Lula said, "Sergio," he was speaking with Marissa on the phone, "Marissa, I don't understand. He is here celebrating. He won the first vote. There are others still." I told him, "Mr. President, let me tell you, sir, that my fear was only getting through the first stage. In this stage, I made a political arrangement. I didn't want to say anything to you. This was my negotiation." According to the former governor, he paid the entire bribe out of his own pocket. Meanwhile, police conducted a large number of raids against an organized crime organization suspected for extortion and corruption, targeting Brazil's state-owned oil giant Petrobras. We have identified a large number of disappearances since the second half of 2018 until now. We also have information of a clandestine cemetery where they dumped their murder victims in Itaboraí, the region where the criminal organization started. More than 40 people were arrested in an operation striking against the growing power of so-called militias, criminal groups run by retired and off-duty police officers dominating distribution of utilities and basic goods for millions of residents. Justice Minister Sergio Moro has recently been under attack by journalists accusing him of corruption, but in a twist of events, or rather a scandal known as the Peacock Show, it turns out that it seems like the journalist Glenn Greenwald is the one who engaged in corruption. Many Brazilians are now demanding Minister Moro to be given authorization by Parliament to continue clamping down on corruption, a key element of President Bolsonaro's election campaign in 2018.
Emotions are still running high in Italy following the judiciary's decision to set Carola Rackete, the captain of the NGO vessel Sea-Watch 3, on free foot. Most Italians had expected a lengthy sentence after she rammed an Italian patrol boat in her attempt to disembark African migrants in Lampedusa. Strengthened by the magistrate's decision, new NGO vessels loaded with migrants are again heading for Italy.
The German NGO vessel CI picked up 65 migrants from a dinghy off the Libyan coast, but later transferred them to the NGO vessel Alan Kurdi. Italian Minister of Interior Matteo Salvini has warned the vessel from attempting to disembark the migrants in Italy. Salvini is still enraged with the decision of the magistrate to release Carola Rackete, saying that he will continue to not allow NGO vessels to drop off migrants in Italy.
E cosa si risolve?
What was the outcome? A pat on the back? Maybe the judge drank a glass of wine with the young lady who said she was rich, white, German and even a little bald, and therefore legitimized to not care about the laws of state. And then we also feel the moral of some German or French politicians, those who have spent days and nights sharing out the seats of the next European Commission. If someone thinks I will give up, they're wrong. If someone thinks I will stop, they're wrong.
Che hanno passato giorno e notte per spartirsi le poltrone.
Salvini also argues that the agenda of NGOs and their political supporters is to erase national sovereignty.
Ragazzi, dai,
Come on guys, now we understand that it is an attempt to erase sovereignty, laws, rights and dignity. I do not give up. In fact, from tomorrow I will be even more determined to protect the sacred borders of our country, the laws, the rules, civilization, honor, dignity, common sense, good taste. I'm sorry.
Le regole, la civiltà.
A spokesperson for Sea-Watch stated that the decision of the court to set Carola Rackete on free foot returns some dignity to the Italian state. To view a humanitarian ship carrying people rescued at sea and which just wants to bring them safely to a safe harbor as the biggest and most urgent threat to security and public order makes this country look ridiculous. I would therefore say that at least yesterday's ruling re-establishes a little order with respect to the hierarchy of norms and also re-establishes the dignity of this country. Salvini's League Party has introduced rules effectively closing Italy's ports to rescue ships, threatening transgressors with fines up to 50,000 euros and the impounding of the vessels, but the judiciary has so far been unwilling to enforce the new laws. As a result, more NGO vessels have been encouraged to continue testing Salvini's resolve to close Italy's borders for illegal migrants.
That's it for today. See you next time on Poland Daily. But stay tuned for the Poland Daily Weather Report, followed by the Poland Daily Business section.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the map of the night. Temperature will rise to 17 degrees in Rzeszów. In other regions, temperature will range from 11 to 14 degrees. Some rainfalls will appear over Białystok, Olsztyn, Koszalin and Zielona Góra. In the rest of the country, light overcast is expected. And now over to tomorrow. Very pleasant weather is expected on Sunday. Temperature will grow up to 24 degrees on the south. Across the country, lots of sun we will see. Wind will be gusty, the pressure will drop. Let's see the forecast for the next days. Monday will be very sunny day all over Poland except northwest. The higher temperature, 21 degrees, will appear in the southeast. Some mixed rain and sun is expected across the Poland on Tuesday. A maximum 21 degrees around Śląsk and a minimum 17 degrees in Białystok. On Wednesday, rain is expected in most regions. Pressure will be still low. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight we will talk about the summer business or entertainment, or maybe even educational, because our guest is Bartłomiej Szponacki of Planeta Robotów. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
And Mr. Szponacki, business is education. He teaches kids how to build and program robots, and that's a whole new area of knowledge. That's something that we didn't have around, say, 10, 15 years ago, that even children can program robots and understand how this machine works. What skills you are teaching?
Yeah, so, basically learning how to construct your robot and how to code your robot develops many skills. They are connected with some cognitive skills, some abstract thinking, planning, decision making. So there is a variety of fields that are being developed in children by learning those classes.
Mm-hmm. There are things that robot can do, and there are constraints that they cannot do, and this is something that you can have to take into account.
That's right.
When you design some task or robots that will be able to do.
It's even harder for children because, as you know, their imagination is limitless. So often we have to tell them about those constraints because they want to construct things that unfortunately are not possible right now, but
the infrared sensor sees from what, for 40 centimeters, for 50 centimeters?
It's about like that. It's not so accurate. It can detect. We are using it mostly for detection of length, usually as a binary information because it's not so precise. So we are using it as if he sees an object or whether or not, the much more precise, and it's an ultrasonic sensor. It ranges for up to 2 meters with precision for 1 centimeter. So it's much more precise to do such tasks. But you mentioned it as just one piece. Our educational sets contains many of them, which can combine together, can create an amazing construction, an amazing robot for kids.
What is the logic way of designing a software for the robot? What you teach your children, how they structure this various tasks that a robot is about to perform. So the software is hardly very
connected with construction, because if there is a goal on our lessons to achieve by the students, so they have to think as well as for construction as well as for code. So we have to be deeply integrated one to each other, right? So we usually start with the construction because it's easier to think about how does it have to be constructed to perform those tasks, and then we proceed into coding. coding is, it looks a little bit different for most of us, because usually people think that coding is limitless lines of codes that are being written on.
This is how Hollywood shows it.
Yes, especially on the hacker scenes, right? But on our lessons, it's on a different level because we are using a graphical interface to use to code with kids.
Are kids able to calibrate the sensors, for example, or calibrate the movements of the servos?
Yes, in general, yes. It's on a general level, right? But they are able to code servos to perform certain rotation.
The robot that you done personally, that goes, turns back, forth, and performs the tasks, looks almost like a live creature.
Yes, if the form is like humanoid thing, right? So it looks like a human, right? But usually it looks mostly like a rover, like one of those which are put on Mars right now to discover other planets.
Okay. Does children develop some bond to those toys?
Yes, because
they assign them personality or something?
That's right. You are perfectly right. They are often given them some names, so they are associating with them very much.
Mm-hmm. The present-day kids, unfortunately, are very connected to their mobile phones. I know that this way of controlling the robot is also available. So, for the benefit, we can say that finally kids can do something useful with their mobile phones, use them for teaching, for entertainment.
Yeah, that's right. But I would like to point out that it is one easy way for them because they are eager to control robot with a tablet or tablet PC or smartphone because it's easy for them, right? But we are trying to make them still code, not to cut the way and using only a remote, because during the remote you can still maneuver the robot, right? But the point is that you make a code, because then the robot can maneuver autonomously, right? By their own.
That's the challenge. That's the fun.
That's right.
The robot will do their own things by its own programming and pre-programmed sequences. Very interesting and very good offer for this vacation, and we're still human, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the Westworld. Mr. Bartłomiej Szponer is very much alive human. I hopefully am too. Thank you very much for...
Thank you very much as well.
This conversation, and this was it for Poland Daily tonight.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Very pleasant weather is expected on Sunday. Temperature will grow up to 24 degrees on the south. Across the country, lots of sun we will see. Wind will be gusty. The pressure will drop. And now let's see tomorrow's forecast for our continent. On the south of Europe, temperature will rise. The highest temperature we will see in Rome, 36 degrees. Warmer in the Balkans, and there the temperature will range from 29 to 34 degrees in Athens. In Central Europe, a lot of sunlight will appear, and time to time we will see thunderstorms and rains. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm John Carter, and on today's episode, we're here at Otwock Palace. So come and join me as we take a trip around classic Polish culture.
Otwock Grand Palace in Otwock Wielki is otherwise known as the Jezierscy Family Palace or Bielińscy Family Palace. It is a historic residence located on an artificial island in an oxbow lake of the river Vistula in Otwock Wielki. It is the former summer home of the Bielińscy family, old aristocracy from Ciechanów County in Mazovia, who maintained a close relationship with the Saxon court. But the family heirs squandered the family wealth in the 18th century, and the palace became in the end closely associated with the Jezierscy family, following the palace's acquisition by Jacek Jezierski. It remained in the hands of that family until the communist period of 1945-1989. The palace was restored and opened to the public as Interiors Museum or Museum of Design in Otwock, a satellite branch of the Warsaw National Museum.
So let's talk a little bit about Franciszek Bieliński, because he seemed to have, still kind of seems to have a bit of an influence on the surrounding area and Warsaw today. For example, the street Marszałkowska was named after him. What did he do for the city of Warsaw?
Tak, Franciszek Bieliński jest postacią kontrowersyjną. Współcześnie wiemy...
Franciszek Bieliński is a controversial person. We know about him a lot currently. When it comes to his work or activities that he did for Warsaw, it had an amazing impact. Some of the work that he did resulted from his position. He was the great crown hetman. It was his duty to take care of Warsaw and its paving.
Musiał zajmować się porządkowaniem Warszawy i jej brukowaniem, często w przeciwieństwie do innych.
We know that he was doing it with a great passion and dedication, unlike his friends with whom he worked with. We can say that during his term of office between 1742 and 1762, Warsaw was paved. From the streets that were sandy, muddy, and often smelly, it became a quite civilized city. He also made sure that the new buildings had brick chimneys.
Błotniste i często śmierdzące przez to, zadbał o to także, aby...
Unfortunately, many cities burned down due to very prosaic reasons. He knew about it. Warsaw was also struggling with large fires. Also in the district, he established himself called Bieliny. He ordered all the buildings there to have brick chimneys. It is true that after his death in the 1970s, the Marszałkowska street was named after him in order to honor him.
Nakazał, aby wszystkie stawiane tam budynki miały już kominy murowane w latach 70. i...
This is the testimony of his activities in favor of Warsaw. When it comes to the residences in Otwock, it was extended thanks to him. He not only built the outbuildings, which helped the residents function independently, but also he expanded the farm. Apart from the island, there is a wooden bridge that leads to a large area, and that's where the useful and functional buildings were built.
Ale także rozbudował folwark. Poza wyspą jest duży teren, do którego wiódł most drewniany, bezpośrednio z wejścia głównego, przerzucony na drugą stronę.
For instance, a stable, gardener, a brewery, a grain alcohol factory, but also a place for the farmers.
Browar, a także w końcu spirytusownia.
It was a very large building. We know that it ended before his death in '64 because there was an inscription on the stable.
Na budynku stajni był napis właśnie o tym informujący.
After the sort of Bieliński era, let's say, using this palace as their summer residence, there was a kind of period of wilderness, let's say. How did their ownership end, and why was there was a period of, let's call it, non-ownership?
Po Franciszku Bielińskim, który zmarł bezpotomnie, schedę po nim przejął jeden z jego bratanków, także Franciszek.
After Franciszek Bieliński, who died not having the children, one of his nephews, also named Franciszek, took over his position. He was also an amazing person. They both did a lot not only for Warsaw and its residents, but also for Poland. The nephew Franciszek Bieliński took care of the reform of education.
Franciszek Bieliński, bratanek, a także między innymi...
He was a collector and a traveler. He was in Italy, he left a diary from his long journey, but also he brought a collection of ancient sculptures to Otwock. Unfortunately, we know little about it.
Kolekcje rzeźb antycznych. Możemy tylko przypuszczać na podstawie innych podobnych zbiorów z tego okresu.
We can only assume, on the basis of other similar collections from this period, that these were just the copies of Roman sculptures and elements of excavation held in Rome and the whole Italy. Before his death, the palace was sold to Władysław Sulimierski. Unfortunately, the goods were indebted, and Sulimierski didn't live in the palace.
Władysławowi Sulimierskiemu. Sam Sulimierski nie zamieszkał tutaj i
the palace was uninhabited from the moment of sale, so 1809. It led to the numerous plunders, not only the interior of the palace, because there was nothing there, but it led to the devastation of the palace. One of the first ones happened during the march of the Napoleonic army, which stationed here in the palace before the Battle of Góra Kalwaria.
Pierwszych takich dokonała się w czasie przemarszu wojsk napoleońskich przed bitwą pod Ostrówkiem, niedaleko.
This period of 19th century is not yet fully researched. The next owner was Zygmunt Kurs. This figure was also unusual for the region. His children were going to rebuild the palace.
Zygmunt Kurz to postać także niezwykła dla regionu i myślę, że
new roofs were laid. The local people hoped that the palace would be revived again. That didn't happen for personal reasons. Then the palace was handed over from one hand to another. Finally, in 1917, he was handed over to the Jezierski family as part of the family succession.
Został w ramach sukcesji rodzinnej także przekazany Jezierskim.
How did the palace come into the hands of Jezierski family?
Władysław Jezierski był siostrzeńcem ostatniego z Kurców.
Władysław Jezierski was the nephew of the last of the Kurz family. On the basis of the will, it became the property of Jezierscy. It's worth mentioning that at that time the palace was no longer habitable.
Przejścia w XIX wieku spowodowały, że nie tylko
it was in a very poor condition. Because of the various events in the 19th century, there was no equipment, no ceilings, no stairway, no doors, no windows here. In fact, the palace was an attention for tourists during the time of development of a nursing home in Otwock.
Sanatorium, pobliskiego sanatorium w Otwocku, z którego to czyniono wycieczki, nie było już mostów.
There was no wooden bridge anymore, so people used little ships or boats to get on the other side. And the Jezierski family, Władysław and his wife Elizabeth, settled in the manor and expanded the farm. They rebuilt a lot of modernist villas along with the greenhouse. They had a vast garden with various cultivations. Many archival photos of this period have been preserved.
Z tego okresu zachowało się sporo zdjęć archiwalnych.
Thank you very much for joining us here from Otwock Palace. We'll be back again same time tomorrow for another episode of Poland Daily Culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we are visiting the Polish Central Bank and the Center of Money, where they provide education on the history of various world currencies and the Polish zloty. Join us as we learn about the 1,000 years of history of the Polish currency. During our visits to the NBP Money Center, we will speak with Adam Skrauta from the Education and Publishing Department of Narodowy Bank Polski. The Polish Central Bank functions under its current name since 1945, but is a continuation of two earlier banks operating in the 19th and early 20th century, serving a similar function. We're here today at the Polish Central Bank talking about the Polish currency, the Polish zloty, and I was wondering when we were discussing the central bank, because as we know there were three different central banks throughout the Polish history. And in a different era, were they performing different functions? Are they similar in a way? What are the different things that the different central banks perform?
Every central bank in every country has one core duty, that is to issue currency, but also protect its value. And as European economies were becoming more complex in the 19th century, the need to establish a central bank or a central institution to look after the issue of currency was very apparent, and the same case was in Poland. So the first central bank on Polish territory was established in 1828. Its name was very intuitive. It was just the Bank of Poland.
All right.
And of course, it was issuing Polish zloty. And about its other purposes, it was also the bank of government. So central offices, central institutions had their accounts in this bank. And interestingly enough, it was also the biggest investment bank of the time.
Okay.
So it provided a lot of credit for investment, factories, infrastructure, mines, and so on. We can say that at some point it was the biggest player on this in this field. But of course, it's quite unusual, and nowadays central banks are not involved in this anymore. And back to our Polish history, the establishment of the second central bank is connected with reintroduction of Polish zloty. So again, it was supposed to be responsible for its issuing, but also for protecting its value. And also as time was passing by in the 20th century, central banks began supervising other banks. It wasn't very obvious originally, but in free market economies it became more and more important to have a central so-called bankers' bank to supervise other commercial banks. When we talk about our present central bank, Narodowy Bank Polski, its history changed a lot because, as we mentioned earlier, when it was established in 1945, it was operating in a different economic reality. However, when Poland was transforming into a free market economy at the beginning of the 90s of the 20th century, its purpose had to be completely overhauled and remodeled.
Right.
So it took several years to transform Narodowy Bank Polski into the institution that it is now. And we can say that nowadays Narodowy Bank Polski is a fully independent central bank that operates like any other central bank in the European Union. So we say that it has its basic duty is to protect the value of money, so to keep inflation at a low level.
Of course.
And we often say that Narodowy Bank Polski has three functions.
Okay.
So it's, of course, it's issuing bank, it's bankers' bank, so supervising other commercial banks,
of course.
but also the banker to the government.
Right.
So again, state accounts are kept here at Narodowy Bank Polski.
All right. The NBP Money Center opened the Gest in 2016, but was the brainchild of the president of Narodowy Bank Polski, Sławomir Skrzypek, who headed the central bank between 2007 and 2010. Next up, we will ask Mr. Skrauta about which activities the NBP Money Center attract visitors the most. So this place where we're standing at right now, the Center of Money, it was opened in 2016, as I recall. I was wondering if you can tell me a little bit about the purpose of this place and who are the visitors, what are the things that intrigue them the most?
So the idea of establishing such a facility was born a few years earlier. It was the idea of one of the presidents of Narodowy Bank Polski, Sławomir Skrzypek. And it took several years to design this place, to determine what content do we need, and finally construction works. And the most important purpose of this place is economic education. So we teach about history of money, history of banking, central banking, but also modern finances, and some entertainment, like an opportunity to visit a vault and touch a real gold bar. And we try to accommodate to everyone's needs. So starting from small kids to senior people who also are very interested in history. And we offer different activities here. So you can come as an individual visitor and just look around, but you can also have a guided tour. For students, we have special educational offer. So they can find out more about various topics connected with economy. And also we take active part in annual events, like, for example, the museums nights, when everyone can visit and have some fun, and special offer prepared. The International Children's Day, and many others. So I'd like to invite you, all of you, to visit us and see for yourself how much fun economy can be.
As we have seen today, the history of the Polish zloty is long, but at times tumultuous, with wars, invasions, and periodical financial crises. However, today, the Polish Central Bank has managed to keep the value of the Polish zloty stable and secure. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
What can you say about Torun that hasn't been said before? Well, it all depends on how you look at it. At any rate, we're going to give it our best shot to be a little different. Torun is perhaps the prime example of Gothic architecture in the world. Its medieval quality is virtually pristine. And fitting this setting, it's also the birthplace of Nicholas Copernicus, who taught us that the Earth goes around the sun, and not the other way around. I'm not going to say that this is everything you always wanted to know about Torun, but were afraid to ask, but it's close to it. This is certainly a city not to be missed. It's a pleasure to be enjoyed slowly and deliberately. It would take a couple of weeks to see everything in this city and really soak in the atmosphere, and that would still be pushing it. But we are doing our dead level best to show you the greatest hits of Torun. So sit back and enjoy the next few episodes as Torun is unveiled before your eyes. I'm Will, this is Poland Daily Travel, and we I'd love to see you watching. Like us on YouTube and subscribe if you really, really like us. So join us for Poland Daily Travel does Toruń.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of your favorite travel program about Poland, perhaps the greatest travel program about Poland ever made in the history of the world. At least that's what Chris, sitting across from me, who is a ginger master. We're in the gingerbread workshop here in Toruń. Now, I got to tell you, folks, no story about Toruń is possible without exploring the vagaries, the mysteries, the hermetic knowledge of gingerbread.
Next spice is a nutmeg or nutmeg apple, and it comes from faraway root island. It's called Moluki. This spice boiled together with milk. In the Middle Ages, it was cure for headaches or stomach aches. But also, if we will eat too much of this ingredient, we can see dragons, unicorns,
so
werewolves. Because
it's got psychedelic properties.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me that nutmeg. You got any more? Let's put a lot of that in the cookies.
But today it is safer, yeah? Because in the past we can buy a nutmeg with green skin on it, yeah? But today we cannot.
Because the green
buy like
skin
this
was
because
psychedelic.
it's dangerous, yeah? And in the skin it was in the skin, they were most of these ingredients which causes hallucinations. Yeah.
That's why I saw this guy. I didn't understand, but the other day I saw a guy on the corner. He was going, nutmeg, nutmeg. No, I was like, what? What's wrong with this guy? He was selling drugs.
But here in Poland, no.
Yeah, in Warsaw. Hey, in the
Warsaw.
big city, a lot of things happen, kid. Let me tell you. You ought to go there sometime. It's not like the small town.
In Toruń, we said that gingerbread masters from Toruń was the people who create Warsaw, yeah? Because
is that right?
Yeah, Toruń.
Why? Why do you say that? That's funny.
Toruń is.
It's older.
Yeah, it's older than Warsaw, and in the past there were a few moments when Toruń was bigger and
more important,
richer city than Warsaw. Yeah.
Sure.
And actually, it was the Toruń's merchants that were going past down the river, Vistula River, to Krakow.
Yeah.
So the place where Warsaw is located was a good place to stop.
Okay.
So
exactly.
it was actually created by Toruń's
Really
merchants.
neat. This is really interesting stuff. Okay, I'm loving the story. You want to finish with the spices?
Yeah. We've got 2 spices yet. Yeah. One of them.
Yeah. And we're going to cook later, is that right? We're going to cook some gingerbread?
I will give you gingerbread dough, which was aging by 3 months. And in this dough, you've got
tell us when we get there. You're going to tell us when we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to do that. Okay.
Okay. These are cloves.
These are cloves.
Yeah, exactly. And it was healthy spice because it was used first as a cure for mosquitoes because they hate the smell of this one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, now you know.
Thank you very much. I am learning a lot. This is very valuable. Do you find this very valuable? Because I will never be bothered by mosquitoes again. I will carry cloves. Good.
Next, it was cure for toothache. Yeah.
This I knew.
Yeah.
Because I saw Marathon Man. You remember? The movie Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman and Laurence Olivier. It's a great movie. It's an old movie from the 70s. But in this movie, Dustin Hoffman is captured by Laurence Olivier's henchman, and he's an ex-Nazi. Yeah, Laurence Olivier is a great actor. He's playing an ex-Nazi doctor, and he gets Dustin Hoffman into his sinister office, his secret cave, where he has all the, the things. And he's operating on Dustin Hoffman's mouth, and he says, "Is it safe?" And Dustin Hoffman's going, "What? What is what safe?" He goes, "Is it safe?" And Dustin Hoffman goes, "Yeah, it's safe." And he goes, "Rah!" Starts getting his tooth, and then he goes, "No, it's not safe. It's not safe." And then he goes, "Oh, it's not safe." And he's and then he gives him the clothes.
Yeah, because
to stop the pain. And he says, "Oh, like that," and he gets the thing. And then he says, now I will ask you once more. Yeah. Is it safe? You know, and then he keeps torturing him. Yeah? So it was used as torture. It's a famous scene in a famous movie. Marathon Man, Dustin Hoffman, Laurence Olivier. This is just a little discursive note. Watch it. Cloves.
I didn't know this movie, but...
now you're going to watch it.
Yeah, but it's right. Third use of cloves, they were refreshing of breath. So they were something like Middle Ages orbit gun, yeah?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. It's good for your breath, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so I remember that too, because you never know.
After a night of drinking alcohol, yeah, it's...
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that there, Christian. Chris, let's not go too far. Okay. Krzysztof, I should say.
Krzysztof in Polish.
Polsko,
yes.
yeah.
And last spice that we use for gingerbread is an anise.
Anise, okay.
Yeah, it has very strong smell, it has a very strong taste, and it looks like little stars, yeah?
Wow, that's amazing.
You can smell, yeah? It's very, very strong smell. Yeah. So we add for gingerbread dough only a little of this one, yeah?
Is that expensive, this amount of anise?
Not so expensive.
Not so much?
Yeah.
The most expensive one would be?
Cardamom.
The cardamom, how much would that much cardamom cost?
In Polish, it is near 500 zlotys for 1 kilo.
For a kilo of that, so it is very expensive, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild, yeah. Very strong smell. So everything is very strong. So the cookies, the point is, the cookies have a lot of good ingredients, so they're actually very healthy. That's what I tell myself when I eat a whole bag. Yeah.
And from this one, even today we still product sweets. Yeah. But I don't like...
You don't eat them?
No, it's not for me.
You don't like gingerbread? You make gingerbread?
I like gingerbread, but not gingerbread. Sweets.
Oh, you mean
called anyszki in Polish.
Ah, like
only from this sweets, only from this
it's
ingredient, yeah.
Smell.
I haven't had that.
Yeah, and I
don't think I
don't like it.
I don't like it. Too much.
Be too strong.
Yeah, we can product medicines, and we can product vodka, which is called anyżówka. And anise improves appetite very much. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Now.
Well, good. Chris, let me stop you there. Listen, folks, we're going to continue with Chris, the ginger master. He is Krzysztof in Polish. He's Chris to me, and he's also Krzysztof to you. Well, you're confused. You can do either. Or it could be a German name, who knows, with her. Too many languages for me. At any rate, we are going to continue this amazing journey, and we're going to go further down the gingerbread trail. Stay with us. Poland Daily Travel in Torun, seeing great stuff.